All right, strap in, everyone, because today we are taking a deep dive into the evolution of human consciousness itself.
That's right, we're cracking open Robert Anton Wilson's Prometheus Rising.
And let me tell you, just glancing through this, it's a wild ride.
Oh, for sure.
We've got psychology, neurology, even a dash of science fiction in here.
Wilson was really a master at weaving together all these different fields of knowledge.
Exactly. And he does it with this wit and playfulness.
Yeah.
That, it makes it fun to read even when the ideas are complex.
Definitely.
So that's what we're here to unpack today.
Yeah.
What are the big ideas in Prometheus Rising, and what do they mean for you, the listener, in your everyday life?
Well, right off the bat, Wilson asks us to think of the human brain as a biocomputer.
Okay, that's an interesting analogy.
Yeah.
Like, instead of software, what's running on this biocomputer?
It's running on all your experiences, all your conditioning, the beliefs you've picked up along the way.
Ah, so all that stuff that kind of shapes how we see the world.
Right, exactly.
This leads him to a concept he calls the thinker and prover.
Yes.
Which, that sounds pretty profound. Break that down for me.
Well, it suggests that whatever your mind believes is true, it will actively seek out evidence to confirm that belief, even if it's not necessarily accurate.
So you mean if I constantly tell myself I'm not good at something,
Yeah.
my brain will actually find ways to prove me right?
Exactly. It's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy happening at a neurological level.
That's a little unsettling, isn't it?
It can be, yeah.
So we're just doomed to repeat our negative patterns.
Not at all. This is where it gets empowering.
Okay.
Because the flip side is that if you consciously choose more positive and empowering beliefs, your brain will start looking for confirmation of those instead.
Ah, I see.
It's about realizing that your mind has this incredible power to shape your reality.
So we're not just victims of circumstance.
Nope.
We can actually become like the architects of our own lives.
Exactly. And this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Okay, there's more.
Oh, yeah. Wilson goes on to describe 8 different circuits of consciousness.
8 circuits of consciousness. Now you've really lost me. What does that even mean?
Okay, well, think of it like this.
Okay.
You don't have just one mind, but multiple circuits that process reality in different ways.
Interesting.
So, for example, we've got the oral biosurvival circuit.
Oral biosurvival circuit. That sounds pretty basic.
It is. It's wired for security and safety. It's imprinted in infancy.
Okay.
And it explains why, as humans, we seek out those comfort zones.
Ah, yeah.
Why we react so strongly to anything that feels threatening.
So that's why I jump every time I hear a loud noise.
Exactly. That's that biosurvival circuit kicking in.
Makes sense. Okay, what else? What other circuits are there?
Then we move on to the emotional territorial circuit.
Emotional territorial, that sounds more complex.
Yeah, this one's all about mammalian pack behavior, status, dominance,
Ah, okay, so who's the alpha in the group?
Exactly, and it explains why we get so defensive about our beliefs, our territory, our ideas.
Right, because it's tied back to these primal survival instincts.
Precisely.
It makes you wonder how much of human conflict is just this circuit in action.
Oh, I think a lot of it.
Okay, we've got 2 circuits down. What about the rest?
Well, then there's the semantic rational circuit.
Semantic rational.
This is where language comes in, logic, our ability to think abstractly, make maps of reality.
So it's what makes us distinctly human.
You could say that.
Okay.
But it's also where we can get trapped in rigid thinking if we're not careful.
So just because we have this rational circuit doesn't mean we're always rational.
Exactly. We're still influenced by those more primal circuits operating underneath.
Right. So when you get into a heated argument with someone,
Yeah.
even when you know logically, you should just walk away.
Yeah, that's a classic example of those lower circuits taking over.
Okay, that makes sense. So are we constantly battling between these different circuits then?
I wouldn't say battling, it's more like navigating. The key is to become aware of which circuit is dominant in any given situation.
So self-awareness is key.
Absolutely. And that's where Wilson's model is so helpful.
Okay.
It gives you a framework for understanding yourself, for seeing why you react the way you do.
That's powerful stuff.
It is. And there's one more circuit in this first group.
Oh, there's more?
Yeah, the sociosexual circuit.
Sociosexual. So I'm guessing this has something to do with, sex?
It does, but it's broader than that.
Okay.
It's about how we form relationships, how our early sexual imprinting shapes our worldview, how societal morality influences our behavior.
Right, so it's like a mix of biology, culture, and personal experience all rolled into one.
Exactly, and it all ties back to this central theme of programming.
Programming, what do you mean?
Wilson argues that so much of what we think and do is a result of these unconscious imprints, these programs running in the background of our minds.
So if we're not aware of these programs,
Yeah.
we're essentially just living on autopilot.
That's the danger. But the good news is that once you become aware of the program,
Yeah.
you can start to rewrite it.
That's where the idea of free will comes in.
Exactly. We're not just slaves to our programming. We have the power to choose differently.
Okay, this is starting to come together now.
Yeah.
So we've got these 4 circuits: biosurvival, emotional territorial, semantic rational, sociosexual,
Right.
all interacting, shaping our thoughts, feelings, behaviors.
Exactly. And just by becoming aware of them,
Yeah.
we can start to understand why we react the way we do.
And hopefully break free from those reactive patterns.
That's the goal.
Okay, this is fascinating stuff.
It is.
But you said there were 8 circuits in total, right?
That's right. And those other 4, well, those are where things get really
Well,
interesting.
now you've got me hooked.
Good, because we're about to dive into the higher levels of consciousness, realms of awareness that are beyond our everyday experience.
Okay, I am ready. Bring it on. Okay, welcome back, everyone. So we just explored those first 4 circuits of consciousness, the foundational ones, as Wilson puts it.
Right, the building blocks of how we perceive and interact with the world.
But he doesn't stop there, does he? There's a whole other layer to this, these higher circuits.
Exactly. This is where things get even more interesting, more mind-bending.
Okay, well, lay on me. What are these higher circuits all about?
Well, we're going to explore 4 of them. The neurosomatic circuit, the neurogenetic circuit, the metaprogramming circuit, and then the most mysterious one, the non-local quantum circuit.
All right, that neurosomatic circuit, I'm intrigued. You mentioned earlier, it's all about this incredible mind-body connection.
Yes, it's about reaching a state where the limitations of our physical senses seem to dissolve.
So it's like transcending our normal experience of reality.
In a way, yes. Think of those stories of mystics who can withstand extreme pain or feel immense joy from the simplest things.
Yeah, I've heard those stories.
That's the neurosomatic circuit in action. They've learned to master energy and sensation in a way that most of us haven't.
Okay, that sounds pretty amazing, but also a bit out there. How do we even begin to tap into this circuit?
Well, Wilson talks about practices like yoga and meditation as being key.
Okay, so this is where those ancient traditions come in.
Right. They offer pathways to accessing these higher states of awareness.
So yoga, how does that help specifically?
Yoga, with its emphasis on physical postures, breathing exercises, and mindfulness, it helps us become more aware of our bodies, of the subtle energies flowing within us.
So it's not just about stretching and getting a good workout.
There's definitely a physical benefit, but it goes much deeper than that. It's about learning to listen to your body, to feel the energy, to cultivate a sense of presence.
I can see how that would help quiet the mind, all that mental chatter that keeps us distracted.
Exactly, and that's where meditation comes in too.
Right, meditation. So how does that help with the neurosomatic circuit?
Well, meditation is all about cultivating inner stillness, quieting those thoughts that are constantly swirling around in our heads.
Yeah, that's the hard part for me. My mind just races.
It takes practice, but the more you meditate, the easier it becomes to access that state of deep inner peace.
And that's where the neurosomatic circuit kicks in.
Exactly. As you quiet the mind, you become more aware of your physical sensations, the energy flowing through you, and the interconnectedness of all things.
So it's like experiencing the world through a completely different lens.
Precisely, and it can have a profound impact on our well-being, both physically and emotionally.
Okay, so we've got yoga and meditation for the neurosomatic circuit. What about the neurogenetic circuit? This one's always intrigued me. You mentioned it's about tapping into the evolutionary wisdom encoded in our DNA.
Right. It's about accessing the collective unconscious, the shared knowledge of countless generations.
Okay, but how do we actually do that?
Yeah.
Is there like a secret code hidden in our genes?
Not exactly, but Wilson believed that spending time in nature is one of the most powerful ways to activate this circuit.
So there's more to a nature walk than just getting some fresh air.
Oh, absolutely. It's about immersing yourself in the natural world, observing the intricate interconnectedness of all things.
Like the cycles of life and death, the way everything is constantly changing and evolving.
Exactly. And when we tune into those rhythms, we start to tap into a deeper wisdom, a sense of oneness with all life.
It's like we're remembering our place in the grand scheme of things.
Precisely. And that can be incredibly humbling and inspiring.
Okay, so neurosomatic circuit, yoga, meditation, neurogenetic circuit, connecting with nature. Now onto the metaprogramming circuit. This one sounds especially relevant to me.
Oh, yes. This is where it gets really practical. It's all about becoming aware of the programs running in our minds, those unconscious beliefs and patterns that shape our behavior.
So it's like we have all this mental software running in the background, and we don't even realize it's there.
Exactly. But the good news is, once we become aware of those programs, we can start to rewrite them.
Okay, so instead of being controlled by our programming,
Right.
we can actually become the programmers.
Exactly. We can take control of our own mental software.
That sounds pretty empowering, but how do we do that?
Well, Wilson recommends journaling as a powerful tool.
Journaling, okay, so like just writing down our thoughts and feelings?
Yes, but with the specific intention, you're paying attention to recurring patterns, those limiting beliefs that are holding you back.
Ah, so it's about becoming more mindful of our inner critic, that voice that tells us we're not good enough or we can't do something.
Exactly. Once you identify those beliefs, you can start to challenge them.
Okay, so I'm like, wait a minute, is this belief actually true? Where did it come from? Why am I holding on to it?
Right. And then you can start to consciously choose new, more empowering beliefs.
So I can reprogram my mind with beliefs that actually serve me.
Exactly. It's about taking control of your mental landscape.
Okay, journaling, anything else?
Another powerful technique is affirmations.
Affirmations, these are like positive statements you repeat to yourself, right?
Exactly. And by repeating them regularly, you can start to rewire your brain, create new neural pathways that support those positive beliefs.
So it's like fake it till you make it, but for your brain.
You could say that.
Okay, so we've got journaling, affirmations, all about taking control of our mental programming. Now for the last one, the non-local quantum circuit. This is the one that sounds the most mysterious, the most out there.
This is where Wilson really pushes the boundaries. He suggests that this circuit connects us to a realm beyond space and time, a realm of pure potentiality.
Okay, now you're really losing me. What does that even mean?
It's a difficult concept to grasp, but Wilson drew on ideas from quantum physics to suggest that our consciousness isn't limited to our physical bodies.
So we're talking about a spiritual dimension, a cosmic consciousness.
It's hard to put into words, but imagine a realm where all possibilities exist simultaneously, a field of pure potential.
Okay, I'm trying to wrap my head around this. So how do we access this non-local quantum circuit? Is it even possible?
Wilson believed it is. He suggested practices like sensory deprivation, lucid dreaming, and even psychedelics as potential pathways.
Those sound pretty intense.
They can be, and they're definitely not for everyone.
Okay, well, break those down for me. How do those practices help us access this higher level of consciousness?
Sensory deprivation tanks, for example, create an environment where you're completely cut off from external stimuli. No light, no sound, no gravity.
So it's like floating in a void.
In a way, yes, and that sensory deprivation can help quiet the mind, allowing you to access deeper states of awareness.
Interesting.
Lucid dreaming is another technique. This is where you become aware that you're dreaming while you're still dreaming.
Whoa, that sounds trippy.
It is, and it allows you to explore your subconscious mind in a way that's not possible in waking life.
Okay, and psychedelics. I know there's a lot of controversy around those.
Yes, and for good reason. They can be powerful tools for exploring consciousness, but they can also be dangerous if used irresponsibly.
Right, so it's definitely not something to take lightly.
Absolutely not. If you're considering experimenting with psychedelics, it's essential to do your research, find a trusted guide, and create a safe and supportive setting.
Okay, so those are some pretty powerful techniques. But I'm wondering, is there a right way to approach all of this? Should we master one circuit before moving on to the next?
There's no one right path. The journey of consciousness is a personal one.
So what's the best advice for someone who's just starting to explore these ideas?
Be curious. Experiment with different practices and trust your own inner guidance. What works for one person may not work for another.
So it's all about finding what resonates with you.
Exactly. The most important thing is to keep an open mind and to never stop exploring.
Okay, welcome back, everyone. We've explored those fascinating higher circuits of consciousness that Robert Anton Wilson lays out in Prometheus Rising.
Right, those pathways to expanded awareness and maybe even transcendence.
But theories are one thing. I'm ready to get practical. How do we actually activate these circuits? How do we tap into that potential?
Well, Wilson provides a whole range of techniques, and it's interesting how he blends these ancient traditions with more modern, even cutting-edge approaches.
Yeah, let's start with that neurosomatic circuit, that mind-body connection we were talking about. You mentioned yoga and meditation as being key.
Right. Think of yoga as a way to harmonize your physical and energetic bodies, the postures, the breathing exercises, the mindfulness. It all works together to create a deeper awareness of your inner landscape.
So it's more than just like a good workout.
Oh, much more. It's about learning to listen to your body, to feel the subtle energies flowing within you, to quiet that mental chatter.
And meditation, how does that help with the neurosomatic circuit?
Meditation is all about cultivating inner stillness, creating a space where you can move beyond the constant stream of thoughts.
Yeah, see, that's the hard part for me. My mind just won't shut up.
It takes practice. Finding a technique that works for you, whether it's focusing on your breath, a mantra, a guided visualization, the key is consistency.
Okay, so yoga, meditation, both about quieting the mind, connecting with the body. What about that neurogenetic circuit, that sense of oneness with all life?
That's where connecting with nature comes in. Wilson was a big believer in the power of nature to awaken this circuit.
So it's more than just going for a hike or, enjoying a pretty view.
Right, it's about immersing yourself in the natural world, paying attention to the interconnectedness of all things, the cycles of life and death, the way everything is constantly changing and evolving.
It makes you realize you're part of something much bigger than yourself.
Exactly, and that realization can be incredibly humbling, inspiring. It can shift your whole perspective.
Okay, neurosomatic, yoga, meditation, neurogenetic, connecting with nature. Now onto the metaprogramming circuit. This one seems particularly relevant for personal growth, right?
Absolutely. It's about recognizing that we have the power to change our own mental programming.
So like we're not just stuck with the beliefs and patterns we've inherited.
Nope. We can rewrite the code, so to speak.
Okay, but how? How do we actually do that?
Well, journaling is a great tool. It helps you become aware of those negative thought loops, those limiting beliefs that are holding you back.
So I can catch myself when I'm spiraling into those I'm not good enough thoughts.
Exactly. And once you identify those beliefs, you can start to challenge them. Ask yourself, is this really true? Where did this belief come from?
And then start replacing those negative beliefs with more positive, empowering ones.
Right. And affirmations can be really helpful for that, repeating positive statements that reflect the beliefs you want to cultivate.
So it's like fake it till you make it for your brain.
In a way, yes, you're essentially reprogramming your subconscious mind.
Okay. Journaling, affirmations, that's for the metaprogramming circuit. Now for the last one, the non-local quantum circuit, the one that really pushes the boundaries.
This is where Wilson gets into some really fascinating and admittedly speculative territory.
Yeah, this is the one that I'm having trouble wrapping my head around.
It's about accessing a realm beyond space and time, a realm of pure potentiality.
Okay, so we're talking about like a spiritual dimension, a cosmic consciousness.
It's hard to put into words, but imagine a field of infinite possibilities where all things are interconnected.
Okay, I'm trying to picture it. So how do we access this non-local quantum circuit? Is it even possible?
Wilson believed it is. He suggested practices like sensory deprivation, lucid dreaming, and in some cases, even psychedelics.
Those are some pretty intense practices.
They can be, and it's important to approach them with caution. They're definitely not for everyone.
Okay, well, let's break them down a little, starting with sensory deprivation. What's that all about?
Sensory deprivation tanks, also known as float tanks, create an environment where you're completely cut off from external stimuli, no light, no sound, no gravity.
So it's like floating in a void.
In a way, yes, and that lack of sensory input can help quiet the mind, allowing access to deeper states of awareness.
That's fascinating. What about lucid dreaming?
Lucid dreaming is becoming aware that you're dreaming while you're still in the dream state.
Well, so you can actually control your dreams.
To a certain extent, yes, and it allows you to explore your subconscious mind in a really unique way.
Okay, and psychedelics, I know there's a lot of debate around those.
Yes, and it's important to be aware of the risks. Psychedelics can be powerful tools for exploring consciousness, but they need to be used responsibly, with careful preparation and in a safe setting.
Right, so not something to just jump into lightly.
Absolutely not.
Okay, so we've got this whole spectrum of techniques, from yoga and meditation to sensory deprivation and psychedelics. It's a lot to take in.
It is, but the key is to find what resonates with you, what feels right for your own personal journey.
So there's no right or wrong way to do this.
Not necessarily. The journey of consciousness is a deeply personal one. What works for one person may not work for another.
So the best advice is to be curious, to experiment, to trust your own intuition.
Exactly. Keep an open mind, explore different practices, and see what unfolds.
Well, this has been quite a journey. We've gone from those basic survival circuits to the mind-bending possibilities of the non-local quantum circuit.
And we've only scratched the surface of what Wilson explores in Prometheus Rising.
If you're intrigued by these ideas, I highly recommend checking out the book for yourself. It's a challenging but rewarding read.
And remember, this is an ongoing journey. The exploration of consciousness never really ends.
So keep exploring, keep evolving, and keep diving deep. That's all for today. Thanks for joining us.